fans killing him on Twitter. We got the footage of this dude attempting to sabotage Shedeur Sanders during the Pittsburgh Steelers game and causing one of Shedeur Sanders' two interceptions. We got to get into this, man. Interception. Look at Cam Robinson on this play, man. Look at him on this play. Come on, man. Come on, man. Sabotage, sabotage, sabotage. That's ridiculous. How does he just nudge you out of the way like that? How does he just nudge you out of the way like that?
It's over. Why is 68 still in this game? Why is he on the team? Why is he in the NFL? He is the worst lineman I've ever seen in my life. This is the second half. He done gave up a sack. He done gave up 2 false starts. He done gave up a holding. And we're still in our first possession.
Cam Robinson didn't just play poorly. He had a moment that shifted everything. One play, one error, and suddenly blame starts landing on who truly hurt Shedeur. Now the facts are clear and regret comes quickly. What stands out first is how unfair this was for Shedeur. Young quarterbacks already face heavy pressure and they depend on their offensive line to do one simple job, which is to protect them. On this play, instead of standing strong, Cam Robinson looks slow, sloppy, and totally out of rhythm. That too, with no urgency, no effort, no awareness of what's happening behind him. Shedeur does what quarterbacks are trained to do, trust the pocket and make the read. But that trust breaks instantly. When protection falls apart in such a lazy way, the quarterback has no real choice. That interception didn't come from fear or poor decision-making by Shedeur. It came from a pocket that was never real at all. When your lineman barely gives resistance, the entire play is already over. As the game continues, the issue only grows worse, and that's when the frustration really builds. This isn't a single mistake or a hard matchup. It turns into a pattern. Cam Robinson keeps making error after error, stopping momentum before the offense can even settle. False starts, holding penalties, sacks allowed, all piling up in a short span of time. That type of showing doesn't just hurt the numbers, it destroys rhythm and confidence. Every drive begins to feel longer than it should. Meanwhile, Shedeur is still standing there, still trying to move the ball, still taking hits that should never reach him. At some point, it stops being about skill and starts being about effort and focus. And Cam Robinson shows neither. What makes this even tougher to overlook is that Shedeur keeps competing through all of it. He doesn't blame others. He doesn't quit on plays. And he doesn't show frustration in his body language. He's trying to lead while being placed in bad spots snap after snap. A quarterback can only do so much when the people in front of him don't do their part. This isn't about sparing feelings. It's about responsibility. If a lineman can't protect, can't avoid basic penalties, and can't show awareness, then he becomes a problem, not a teammate. Shedeur deserved better help in that game. And Cam Robinson's performance is a clear example of how one weak link can pull an entire offense down.
Please! The people have seen enough. The people have seen enough of Cam Robinson. I got footage to get into. Look at these fans. Pretty sure I don't need to watch Cam Robinson play football for a while. Cam Robinson is the worst football player I've ever seen. He's ass. Cam Robinson might be the worst football player I've ever seen. Browns old lineman Cam Robinson shouldn't play another NFL snap. He plays so bad, it looked like he's cheating for the other teams. Sabotage. It ain't just me that see it. It's not just me. Let's take a look at a former Brown.
At this point, it's not only one voice saying this. It's the fans, the film, and the outcomes all saying the same thing. People have seen enough snaps to know when something is clearly wrong. And with Cam Robinson, it's obvious. The frustration is not coming from one bad play or one rough series. It's coming from repeated moments where the effort looks low and the awareness looks gone. When fans stop wanting to even see a player on the field, that speaks loudly. Meanwhile, Shedeur is out there trying to lead, trying to build belief, trying to keep drives alive, and he's doing it while knowing the protection in front of him can break down at any moment. That type of situation puts a young quarterback in survival mode, and that's not how you grow or win. What really makes this worse is how the mistakes feel less like accidents and more like a pattern that keeps hurting the team. Missed blocks, bad positioning, and slow reactions make it seem like Cam Robinson is always a step late on the play. When a lineman plays that way, it doesn't just affect one snap. It affects the entire offense's mindset. Shedeur has to rush reads, move sooner than he should, and throw under pressure that should never exist. Instead of letting the play develop, he's forced to fix someone else's mistake. That's how interceptions happen. Not because the quarterback lacks ability, but because the structure around him falls apart. Shedeur shows calm, toughness, and leadership. But no quarterback can succeed when the basics up front are broken. The fact that former players are pointing it out too only adds more weight to the criticism. When people who played the game at a high level mention the same problems fans see, it proves this isn't exaggeration. Football is about trust, and Cam Robinson has completely lost that trust. It reaches a point where his presence hurts more than it helps. And that's the hard truth. Shedeur deserves linemen who fight, who stay disciplined, and who protect their quarterback like it matters, because it does. Watching Shedeur take unnecessary hits while still standing strong says everything about his character. Watching Cam Robinson struggle again and again says everything about why the blame keeps falling on him.
Yeah, and then like you say, that Cam Robinson on that left tackle, oh my God. Yeah. If there's not a stunt where that D-line goes inside and there's nobody covering him, it's a beeline to Shedeur every time. It's like he's not even there. And I literally feel like I could play better left tackle than him at this point. You give me a helmet and some shoulder pads, and I'm at least chop the D in or do something to slow them down. Right now, they're not even getting slowed down, and it's crazy. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. That is a former Browns player, a Super Bowl champion, a Pro Bowler who did it at the highest of high levels.
Watching that left tackle spot feels like seeing a door left wide open. Every snap, it's the same problem. If the defense doesn't do anything tricky, if there's no stunt or twist, the rusher has a clean, direct path to Shedeur. It looks like Cam Robinson isn't even involved in the play. There's no wall, no push, no effort to slow anyone down. That is the most basic responsibility of a left tackle, and it isn't being done. Shedeur drops back expecting protection, trusting someone is covering his blind side, and instead he's under pressure immediately. That forces him to rush, move early, or throw sooner than planned. None of that falls on the quarterback. That's a young quarterback being put in a bad situation by someone meant to protect him at all costs. What makes it more frustrating is how low the effort appears. It's not about losing to a great move. It's about barely touching the defender. At the very least, a lineman should slow a rusher, mess up timing, and make him work. Here, defenders are coming through untouched like it's practice. That's unacceptable at this level. Shedeur keeps standing tall, keeps trying to make plays, keeps taking hits that should never happen. You can see his toughness and leadership because he doesn't complain. He just keeps playing. But no quarterback, especially a young one, should be forced to survive like that. Protection isn't optional. It's the base of everything. And right now, that base is falling apart. What really confirms it is who is saying it. When someone who played the game, won a Super Bowl, made Pro Bowls, and lived at the highest level points this out, it isn't noise, it's truth. That kind of voice knows what real offensive line play looks like. And this isn't it. Shedeur is showing calm, confidence, and fight despite the chaos around him. Cam Robinson, on the other hand, looks overwhelmed, outmatched, and disconnected from the moment. Football is built on trust, and that trust is gone. Shedeur deserves protection that lets him grow, lead, and show his full talent, not protection that vanishes the second the ball is snapped.
If you want to look at his resume, part of what his resume is, you got this year where he got some hits, and I think it was a really nice class. But also, you can't run from the fact that, guess what? You do got some misses up front, and the offensive line is terrible right now. Now, Jason did say, which is correct, that you can't fix it all in one offseason. So guess what? You're going to have he will be judged if he is staying, and that's up to Jimmy Haslam. If he's staying, he will be judged not on this class. He's going to be judged on this upcoming class.
No, it's a make or break.
And let me tell you something.
100%.
He's not only going to have to hit. He hit on these ones. He's going to have to hit on these ones. And he's going to have massive jumps in terms of the guys who we drafted last year to be impact. Because I already done told you, if they do keep him, there is going to be a limit on wins. If he is staying, he's the last guy. He outlived everybody. He outlived Deshaun Watson, Pete Podesta, Stefanski, Alex Van Pelt, all the coordinators. He'll be the last one standing. If you thought they got 4 or 5 wins this year and it wasn't good enough, he's going to have to get 7, 8 wins next year.
Jay,
Yeah. And you are not going to get 7 or 8 wins with Cam Robinson and all these bums you got on the offensive line that are sabotaging people, man. It is ridiculous.
When you really break this down, it all comes back to accountability at the top and protection on the field. Draft picks and resumes may look good on paper, but games are decided in the trenches. And right now, the offensive line is letting the team down. No one is saying this problem started overnight, and no one truly thinks it can be fixed in one off-season either. But that doesn't erase the damage happening right now. Shedeur is being put into a situation where the support around him is clearly not ready. He's expected to grow, lead, and win while the foundation in front of him is shaky at best. That isn't fair to any quarterback, especially one still building his NFL identity. If leadership remains the same, then the standard must change immediately. Next season becomes a clear make or break moment. Not just for front office choices, but for the players still trusted with important roles. There can be no more excuses about development or patience if the same errors show up every week. Improvement has to be real and visible. Shedeur can only lift the team so much by himself. Quarterbacks don't block defenders. They don't stop pressure with effort alone. If the players drafted last year don't take real steps forward and the new additions don't make an impact, the results won't change. Wins don't appear out of nowhere. They come from strong protection, discipline, and effort. All things Shedeur is already showing on his side. And this is where the offensive line, especially players like Cam Robinson, becomes impossible to ignore. You simply are not getting 7 or 8 wins with protection this bad. You can't build confidence, rhythm, or consistency when defenders are hitting the quarterback untouched. That type of play doesn't just stop drives. It slows development and kills belief. Shedeur is doing his job standing in, taking hits, staying calm, and competing every snap. But no quarterback should have to battle his own protection unit just to survive a game. If real progress is the goal, then changes up front are not optional. Until Shedeur gets linemen who actually protect him, all the talk about wins, resumes, and future success is just noise. At the end of the day, Shedeur was put in bad spots and the damage came from protection breaking down. When a lineman becomes a liability, regret always follows. And that's exactly what this situation shows. If you want honest breakdowns and real football talk, hit subscribe and stay locked in. Do you think the Browns can truly move forward with this offensive line, or does it need to be blown up to protect Shedeur?